Hello and welcome everybody to Mostly Off Topic, playing the One Ring role-playing game, Laughter of Dragons. This is episode 3, which I have to think about because it's actual session 2. We split the session in half for the YouTube edit. And if you're joining us on Twitch, hi and welcome. This is a One Ring session, not a D&D session. Not quite sure how I do anything about sorting that confusion out, to be perfectly honest. I'm joined by the usual crew. Ben,
Hello.
Joe,
Hello.
and
So that was
Matt.
a really over the top hello.
Hi.
It's all right. You averaged. You averaged.
I'm,
You
try- I'm
averaged
yeah,
out.
trying to even it out. Yeah.
That's good. Good stuff. So I guess game admin. So this is Laughter of Dragons campaign. Spoilers for Laughter of Dragons. If you're playing Laughter of Dragons, thinking about playing Laughter of Dragons, then be aware that there are spoilers here. If you think to yourself, oh, well, these guys are on early doors and I'm towards the back end of it, still spoilers. Because I may well be foreshadowing something, dicking around with the timeline in other ways, so on and so forth. So I can't guarantee that there won't be something that your lore master has kept back, or I brought forward, or any number of things of that ilk. So if this is first episode you're watching, then stop like last from episode 1. I don't know. now is a bit in media res and may not make most sense. So and if you're watching on Twitch, then please do drop some words to Ben, who manages our Twitch channel. Say hi, I guess.
Yeah.
And
Bits of Cake has already said hi.
oh, hi, cool, good for you to join us. And we might have some tech issues. We might get a Hobbit interrupt if there's a break screen or a where offline screen is being shown. That's either a Hobbit has interrupted us and I don't put him on stream, or we're actually just grabbing some food and refreshing ourselves. I feel like there's something I forgot. Oh yes. And to everybody who has left a comment, primarily in the Twitch channel or on the YouTube, fantastic, thank you very much. It really does kind of keep us motivated to produce content for the game when it's been so gratefully received. Please share it with any forums or groups or friends or whomever that you think might be interested in this kind of stuff. We do a lousy job of promoting, but it's just the way it is, I guess. But feel free to check it out, though. We're more than happy with that. So shall we start with some session admin, guys?
Yeah. Cool.
Your
Is it worth introducing the characters at all? Very briefly.
yeah, I think that's possibly worthwhile just to remind everybody. Shall we start with you, Torg, son of Tordek?
Yep. So I play Torg, son of Tordek, who is a young dwarf. He's setting out on his career as an adventurer. He is from the Lonely Mountains, so he's rich. He has the cultural blessing of Redoubtable, obviously. His background is a penetrating gaze, so when I started him, he was quite stern and a little bit dour. Doesn't like men, isn't that keen on elves, but loves his own folk. He's a leader. He has the leadership trait. He also has smithcraft, smoking, and he's lordly and willful.
You, Torg. Loftar next.
Yeah, sure. Yes, okay. So I play Loftar, son of Balin. I come from the Iron Hills. This is basically dwarves that carry heavy armor, even heavier mattocks that we like to smash orc heads with. And my calling, quite rightly, is a slayer. I slay most of the evil things if I can. But I'm also into crafting, particularly weapon crafting. That's how I made my name, traveling, trading, selling weapons, improving them, back and forth, Erebor, back to Iron Hills. I have a particular dislike for Orc, hence my enemy lore, Orcs. But also, I have a virtue called All Hatred, so me fighting against orcs is pretty good because I can hit them pretty hard. And yes, I mean, in contrast to Torg, I am older, seasoned veteran who is still looking for a good fight. So we're in a good company now.
Thank you very much, Loftar. And Sirk, you're playing an orc. It's a little bit weird for the group.
Yeah. No one realises yet. You weren't meant to give that away yet. I'm an orc disguised as a dwarf. Really short orc. A shork. No, I play Sirk Vindrum. He's probably the odd one out of this group in the sense that he's less inclined for adventure and doesn't really care about orcs. Doesn't like them, but doesn't have the intense displeasure with them that the others do. He's more about the kind of like embracing the old ways of the dwarven side, like particular kind of like the old lore and the old knowledge, and kind of not just being stereotyped into orc hating, like mattock wielding, kind of short angry men with beards, but more kind of we had more about us. We were more rounded in the olden days and had more skills and abilities. So that's what he looks for. Searching for roots is my background, and my calling is a scholar. And my traits are kind of all lore based, except for tunneling. But that's tunneling to find lore, so it's digging through archives.
Cool, thank you very much. Sorry. Is that it?
Yep, done.
Okay, thank you very much, Sirk. 7 dead orcs. Their blood soaking into the marshland, mingling with the stagnant water and the sucking mud. Flies buzzing. A weak ray of sun fights its way through the thick mist, warming our companions slightly with its golden touch, and highlighting a small stone outcropping towards the back of the incline. The camp of the orcs is disorganized. Thick mud covers everything. Their attempt at a fire is pitiful and appears quickly abandoned. Loftar scans the area quickly, satisfying himself that the camp hosted as many orcs as were slain, and that no others are set in ambush. Moving away from the 3 dwarves, their breathing heavy, sweat starting to trickle down their backs and gather about their faces, we can trace the path that they took into the marshland, back through the heathland, through the crags, all the way to the white walls of Dale. It was before those white walls that some of Longo's men attacked an old seamstress, Kelda, renowned for producing the most lifelike tapestries and embroidery that Dale has seen for a very long time. Clovis, a strange hobbit, a little like Bilbo that some of you fought alongside at the Battle of 5 Armies, tried to raise the king against the bandits, but to no avail. Instead, you took it upon yourselves to venture forth, dwarves taking on the task that men would not. But is Clovis everything that he seems? The last time you heard talk of a halfling in Dale was from the mouth of an orc, and that creature named the hobbit Longo. No more of that story can be told, however, as the orc lies dead, its body crumpled by the blow of a mattock. Orcs close to Dale. Orcish allies within Dale? Evil casts its shadow once more, and it seems to have fallen to the dwarves to lead the fight against it once more. So, the 3 of you stand, slight incline rising out of the marshland, the bodies of the orcs scattered about you. What is it that you wish to do?
Torg is eyeing the weapons and the armor of the dead orcs, looking at the hinges on the armor, the straps, the clasps, and the knocked blades that lie in the blood spattered mud. His smithcraft is tingling within his core. and starts to kneel down in the mud and push at the breastplates and thumb the edges of the blades.
Mm-hmm. So as you do that, Torg, is there anything in particular that you're looking for that you want to establish?
In particular, I guess in Torg's mind is this possible collusion between orcs and men. In Torg's mind, it's likely to be men, and greed and selfishness within Dale that may be leading these orcs to them. So he's kind of interested in whether there are mannish items among the blades and armor of the orcs.
Yeah. Okay. So you're kind of making a look through. So if you want to make a crafts roll to try to establish the provenance of some of that work, or you have the smithing trait if you wanted to kind of evoke that to try to understand the provenance of that, then that's your call.
I have 3 dots in craft, so I'll take my chances and roll the three cubes and the feat die.
Yeah.
I do have an advancement point in vocation, so.
Okay.
What have I got there? It's not good. I've rolled 12.
So essentially, everything that you find is orc made. It's not well made. It's clearly orcish, but you can't really discern from which region or tribe or kind of groupings of orcs. You know enough to know that they do have different. The towns of Angmar or the Mount Graham churns out different kind of weaponry than that from the orcs of Moria or wherever. But as you're kind of going through, you do find some insignia on the bodies of the orcs. And there are different insignia on the bodies of the 6 orcs, and then there's a slightly different insignia on the body of the of what you assume to be the leader, the one who was hanging back and offering instruction to the others. The insignia is all pretty much the same, but differently coloured, and it's really crudely made, thin metal with a rectangle which meets essentially an oval about 2/3 along. So if you just imagine a rectangle straight like that, and then kind of like an oval going across that way.
Okay, interesting. So this is a different insignia to the others.
So the one that's on the body of the leader is that's slightly nicer made with some kind of like gold coloured edging to it, and the oval is enameled red, a deep kind of like crimson red.
And is this on the armor itself?
No, it's kind of like in like pockets, or the leader has it on a chain around their neck.
Interesting. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. I just need to close a window because I'm just getting notifications of something and it's going to be on the feed. Okay, so whilst you're going through that, Torg, it's going to take you a bit of time if you're doing that methodically, as I would imagine that you would be. Loftar, is there anything in particular that you kind of want to be getting into?
I want to search the area.
Yeah. Okay.
Look at in a slightly different angle that Torg is doing, and perhaps invoke enemy lore to find out a little bit more about them, in the sense that where have they come from? I mean, can I, perhaps using, as I said, search, can I trace them back and find the direction where they potentially came from?
Yeah, okay. So you can use search to go hunt around, find tracks and such like, and then there would be a separate role to establish who they were, maybe, or information about them, and then that separate role you could invoke the orc lore trait if you wish.
So one is the search role, and the other one is the What role would that be?
It would probably be a riddle roll,
Okay.
or a lore roll, but you could invoke orc lore
to automatically pass it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to use. I want to roll. Take a gamble. I want to roll for search first.
Okay.
Then.
Yep.
I've got a great success, but the total score is 9. So perhaps.
Okay. So
Just
you have
put that on there.
Yeah, so you have a look around. You've established that the number of places where there are sleeping places is consistent with the number of orcs that have died. There are a couple of paths. If you recall, you saw a couple of humans dart off into the marsh at the start of combat, and you kind of go there, but very quickly those paths kind of like fade off into the marsh, and it becomes quite hard for you to discern actually what is a path and what just maybe looks like a path. So you're kind of coming back into the camp, and you find remains of amphibious creatures, some reptiles, kind of like crudely eaten. So some crude orc rations around. It looks like they were trying to hunt to kind of feed themselves. Really brackish water. It looks like they were drinking marsh water more than anything else.
Sure.
But you don't find much more than that.
Okay. So for the second then part that you've mentioned, I just want to invoke enemy law.
Okay.
For that riddle roll that you've mentioned, just because I want to draw on my experience. I want to make sure that I get the information that I want for this one. I'm just using that to get an automatic pass.
Yeah. Okay.
Rather than rolling the dice.
So you get so kind of like probably helping Torg out, actually, kind of like looking through and assessing that kind of thing, and kind of measuring the bodies and doing a body to mass ratio, comparing it against your chart. And you think that these orcs are reasonably well trained. They were definitely kind of like a squad under the leadership of the one who spoke about long ago. The weapons and their skin and insignia, you think, indicates them to be orcs of Dol Guldur from the south. Okay. So these aren't kind of like chumps. This is a military faction. This isn't a random.
So these are the. We got these bloody southerners again.
Coming up here, still in our orcs, still in our marshland. But so the main thing that you draw from this is the fact that this is a military group. So all orcs are militaristic. Not all orcs are in the military, so to speak, and this is a military grouping.
So more of a serious organized group. It's not really a scouting party, but just a sort of like a military, almost a military maneuvers of a small unit.
So you can draw your own conclusion as to whether you consider it to be a scouting party or not. But they're part of they're not random orcs that are being forced out their homeland because they're searching for food, kind of thing.
So they're not orc rabble or anything like that. Okay.
I mean, they're not the Praetorian Guard. They're not the red cloaked Republic Guard around the Senate, around the Emperor or anything. But they're certainly a military function. Okay, cool.
So they're more like stormtroopers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sirk, what were you doing in this time?
Not having the fetish for orcs that his companions do. He's going to find a
don't
relatively
kink
dry
shame
spot.
Don't kink shame
them. No. Just stating the fact that he doesn't enjoy that kink.
Okay.
Yeah. He's going to find a relatively dry spot if he can.
Yep.
Clean his blade the way he was taught to after a battle. Put it away, and then maybe just look for something interesting in the landscape to sketch, or kind of try not to be too annoyed while they sit there prodding dead bodies.
Yeah. Okay. You're searching. You kind of head back up the mound to where it's drier, and as you kind of like heading up to the mound, that small outcropping of rock catches your eye. And what catches your eye is it looks as if it's a bit too regular to be natural. It's kind of look as if it's fitted stone, really well fitted, and you kind of head across there and you start to pull back some of the moss and such like, and it does look like looks like a bit of a low wall, more than anything else. So you could kind of make me a riddle roll, or if you wanted to invert your tunneling trait to see.
Yeah, I've not got anything in riddle, so I will invoke the tunneling trait.
Yeah, okay. So this is building on how we had the trait session, your discussion about being able to see the lay of the land and understand what might be below it. So as you're kind of like looking and you're pulling some moss away, and you kind of then follow a small rise, a small dent, which if you hadn't have been thinking about it and observing it, you would have just put down as being the natural kind of shape of the terrain. You follow it off to a corner, which now starts to get down into the marsh. You can scrape away some of the mud again, and you see it is definitely the end of a low wall. And you start to dig a little bit further, and there are definitely footed stones. So as you kind of like expand this whole area out, it looks as if it would have been quite a substantial kind of like homestead potentially. The walls bear some of them scorch marks, indicating that there's a fire and some ash there, and you think you find some interior walls and such like. It's all very consistent, as if it was an old manor house, but you think possibly a dwarven manor house, with the way in which the stones are really fitted well, and so forth. Completely derelict. The marshland has started. It's clearly claimed the land, and over possibly centuries, kind of like accumulated dirt around the place. But certainly an old manor out here before the Long Marsh became the Long Marsh.
Is there any indication of kind of like runes of makers or owners or people who lived there? Like the way a mason type like normally kind of carves in a 1802 Bob made this type thing.
So you do find some runes, or what possibly could have been runes, in one of the bricks, and you kind of start to try to clear it away and such like, and you think it's bearing what would be the start of a name, but it's you'd have to probably take it back and clean it, because it's kind of quite eroded and weathered a little bit.
Cool.
Okay, so as you guys are kind of like doing all of that, you're essentially kind of getting a bit of a rest after the combat, which means that you can start to recover some endurance points.
Oh,
so
excellent.
Yeah, so if you're not wounded, then after about half an hour, you get to recover endurance points equal to your heart score.
That's plenty.
That's two then. So.
If you are wounded, and I
Really?
think if you are wounded, I think Loftar got wounded at least.
Well, I'm weary.
Oh, you're weary. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
No one got wounded. We
No
were
one
just
got
weary.
wounded. Yeah, okay. Otherwise, a wounded character, you need to get healed.
Torg is down a chunk of endurance. He's from 32 down to 24. His heart is 4, so that's very handy.
Yeah.
My heart is 2. I was down from 30 to 22, so I'm back up to 24. My fatigue level is 23, so I'm 1 above my fatigue.
That's good. Remember, you can take off like
pretty
shields, and you can take off helms and stuff to reduce your fatigue.
No, it's dangerous out here.
Okay.
We've just seen how dangerous out here it is. If anything, I'm looking for more armor to put on.
You like got all the orc armor on.
Sirk, what have you found out over there on that rocky outcrop? I've found out that these orcs are wearing an insignia. It looks a bit like a rectangle with an oval on it.
Interesting. This place used to be an house. I can't remember.
I think it was more.
Along here, there's a wall up there, another wall there.
Yeah, I think
And,
Sirk has clearly been scared by the combat. He must have taken a bang to the head.
Yeah, he can't remember. Sirk has no recollection of what Sirk's accent was. So, yes. There's used to be a manor house, I think. I don't know why I'm going Welsh now. I give up. It used to be a manor house.
With Welsh, it's dangerous.
Yeah, it gets a bit close to racist quickly. From the looks of it, it was an old dwarven manor house. Very old, long claimed by the marsh.
Was there any sign of orc in there, Sirk?
It was scorched, like there'd been fire, but I don't know how long ago that was.
Fire, a burned manor house of a dwarven clan or a lord.
It's certainly of dwarven build. The quality looks like our people's work. I couldn't tell you if we lived here as such because there's no walls or doors. If there was a door, we could measure the height and get a gauge. But it might have been a dwarf built it for somebody else. One doesn't like to make guesses in these instances.
Well, Sir, do you think you could discover more if we were to investigate further, or?
No, there's no walls. They've gone. There's just these bits. Unless we can we go back in time and look to see what it looked like and with the height of the. I've got a bit of a brick. But it needs some work. That's as far as I can tell you. Have you finished playing with your orcs? Can we get on now?
Yes, they're all dead and they bear this insignia.
I know we stabbed them. What insignia? Can I have a look at the insignia? Do I recognise it in any way, shape, or form?
Make a law.
Actually, yes. Torg would like to yank. Torg would like to yank the chain off the big orc's neck.
Okay, it comes away.
I'm glad you got to finish in that sentence.
Oh, that is his kink, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So
you
yank the chain off. Yeah. So, is everybody coming? Is everybody coming to look at this?
Yeah.
I can hear footsteps of
Loftar,
hobbits.
you coming to look?
Yes, I'm coming. I'm always interested.
Distant.
So everybody, whomever wants to kind of look at this and kind of learn a little bit more, make a lore roll. Think if there's any traits that you want to kind of bring to bear. Now is the time to argue if you want to do that.
I'm gonna go for the roll.
I got nothing. I'm just gonna.
I've got old lore, but I'm hoping that my roll will be decent and I can play with them later.
I want to find out about this a little bit more, so I want to probably invoke again enemy law orc, arguing that I found out they're from Dol Guldur. They're a bit too far away from home for my liking, so maybe this can tell us a little bit more.
Is that a Gandalf?
Is that Gandalf?
Gandalf, great success for me.
So you got a Gandalf, great success.
There's the brain.
Yeah.
And you're invoking enemy law. Okay,
yeah.
So let's think this through then. So enemy law, it confirms that they are orcs of Dol Guldur, and they're almost kind of like rank insignia. Is kind of what you learn primarily, or what you recognise, Loftar, from your kind of time. You fought orcs of Dol Guldur before, and an old hand kind of like taught you this.
It's the same smell. You can't forget that smell.
Yeah, that's right. So what you learn, Sirk, is that they are from when the necromancer was within Dol Guldur. So the insignia is kind of almost a cult insignia of the necromancer.
I do believe I've read something about this before. This has ties to the necromancer.
So the knowledge of the necromancer in Dol Guldur is almost kind of like bogeyman kind of like story rather than solid facts. Yeah, the necromancer is not a political faction or anything like that. It's
I thought it was up there with the werewolf of the Whatever that
So-
place was called.
Dol
Misty
Guldur
Mountains.
would be like a spooky haunted house from a story, really, for Torg and Loftar.
More so than anything else, yes, definitely. So it would be. Let me think of a real world equivalent. Yeah, it's like a haunted kind of haunted location. Evil.
Fred and Rose West.
Yeah, but kind of like, I guess evil gathers about there. Not a great place. More than anything else.
Is it somewhere you weren't allowed to go on your bikes when you were a kid?
Yeah, that's right.
Because presumably sex knowledge will be even kind of vaguer than being from Blue Mountain.
Yeah,
In the sense, aside from what I've read and kind of thingy, but as in like I'll have read it as probably an apocryphal tale kind of thing, whereas these guys would see it as probably had it as a bedtime story.
I'll leave it with you guys to decide.
Mm.
It's up to you how you want to interpret that within the context of your
But
character.
I just thought so. This necromancer, I just thought it was tall tales.
I'm not familiar with the tales of Mirkwood, but the name Dol Guldur is resonant with me because it is the home of many orcs.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I agree.
I definitely bow to your two's knowledge on orc matters.
I've never ventured that far south, but I've heard the stories of old that these rumors might perhaps have a grain of truth in them. Very, very interesting.
Orc from the south up here, wearing a badge of a necromancer. It's very strange.
It is worrying, for we've thinned their numbers since the Battle of the Five Armies. Worrying that they should feel bold enough to venture so far north, close to the re-established home of the dwarves.
Do we know though that we're making an assumption that they've come from there since then? We don't know that maybe during your said battle, maybe they fled north and are trying to make their way back south. We don't know that they've come up all this way in this instance. They might be a local franchise of Dol Guldur that's just based in the local location.
I think they've taken a great risk. That's just my opinion, but they've taken a great risk to come up so far north. And
but that's what I mean. We don't know that they have. How do you know they're not? They haven't been here for years.
That's an interesting point. Loftar, you know more about orcs than I do. How large are their war bands usually?
Well, they could be that big, especially considering that they're coming from such a large fortress as Dol Guldur. Perhaps we could check with locals like whoever's in Erebor or Dale. I come here. I've been here many times, but this is a local matter, so that maybe we can check with our brethren. I mean, my gut tells me that they've come here for something and they just want to do something here rather than linger around.
I'm not saying they haven't come here.
Yeah.
I don't think we can guaranteedly say that they've come here recently. They might have been stationed nearby, and this might be that they might be a remnant troop from an old location. We don't.
That's a good point.
It's a very small group from. Well, it's what they were. I know we're dwarves and we're very good at fighting, but we managed to take them out all together. They clearly didn't seem to be the elite of the elite. And they weren't a large party, were they? And look at the state of this camp. It's hardly like it's sort of like been regimented or set up very well.
These are good points. We should inform someone who will spring to action and we'll fix this.
What were we out here for? Was it just to find these?
We agreed to dispatch the bandit Longo.
Yeah, that's it.
So, but we haven't done that yet, have we?
Well, we didn't expect to find orcs so close to Dale. We should inform the dwarves of the Lonely Mountain.
Okay.
You've seen these men in Dale. They
Someone
choose
want to
to
pick
do
up their
nothing.
heads?
They couldn't even 12 of them couldn't even move a wagon. We should inform Dane, the king and the Lonely Mountain. He will know what to do.
I think that's right.
The
We have
Lonely
to.
Mountain is that one over there.
Aye, the big one.
Yeah. Excellent.
You
No,
have
do we
seen it in your
do we want to
books, sir.
take some evidence?
I think the
Well,
necklace would do.
I've got this. I've yanked the chain off the big orc. I think that'll.
But I mean, for like, so they might. That's. Do we want to take an evidence of their number?
Take their number. What
As in the number of the orcs. Wait a minute,
they're
Sauron's calling me.
There were the two men as well, Loftar, who ran off into the marshes there. Did you see where they went? Is that it?
No.
Paul, are the marshes away from the rocky outcrop?
I'll be back. Discuss
Yes.
amongst yourselves.
So the men fled kind of like out towards the back. So if you imagine that you come up through the swamp, there's an incline that leads up to the rocky outcrop. You saw them flee kind of like over the rocky outcrop towards the back. Loftar searched out there, but quickly lost the track. It becomes very difficult to distinguish what may be a path versus what is marsh and looks like a path. We've all been out in the Peak District after it's rained, and you're kind of like, and you didn't get a particularly good search roll.
No, that's right.
Okay.
I wasn't quite able to pick up their trail, so a bit worried about that. But I take your point. We definitely need to notify the locals, if you like, from the Lonely Mountain.
I've spent some time in the company of dwarven orc hunters, and I've learned some tracking skills from them. Perhaps I can discern something where you could not.
That's definitely worth a try. I shall.
Sorry, I
forward it.
zoned out for a minute. Then what was worth a try?
So Loftar and Torg are
we've
towards the
sorted it all out.
back of the rocky outcrop, kind of like seeing if they can find the tracks of where the men fled. I could give you a search roll.
A search roll. So I have a search of 3.
Okay.
I won't be applying any traits in any kind of way. Oh, slight misroll of the feet die there. It came out of my dice tray.
That's fine.
So I have a 6 on a success die, and I have a 4 and a 2, so I've got 12, and then 2 on the feet die, so 14.
Yeah, so you can kind of get a bit further than Loftar did, but it becomes very difficult through the terrain. The light is starting to fade, and the thick mist still shrouds, so you're not able to find a clearly delineated path.
Worth camping here tonight and then moving on in the morning.
I think that's a good idea.
Where there were orcs, or perhaps in your decrepit manor, Sirk.
Like I say, I think you're really upselling. It's got a couple of walls still standing, maybe, and then they're quite boggy. But I do think we should maybe camp a little away from where the orc camp was. If only for the fact that they chose a terrible spot. Look at the state of it.
No, the smell would definitely keep us awake, so I agree with that.
So should we dispose of the bodies?
Well, I was thinking more that we take something as some kind of proof for the fact that they were here.
Well, should the insignia will do, will it not?
It only proves that you found a slight gold chain on the floor.
No,
I don't wish to question the veracity of your story or who will give you in these. This is not my town, but where I come from, we like evidence-based reasoning.
They will take our word. I'm sure. Fellow dwarves will take our word.
Wow.
So, burgers for tea while we camp, lads?
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
Nice. Loftar, what kind of token would you take from these orcs for us to take back to?
Perhaps a small weapon, some sort of a dagger. I'm confident that Dane would take our word for it. We are, after all, seasoned warriors, and the word of a dwarf it carries its weight in gold as well. So perhaps I think Sirk is making a good point. I think a little souvenir. Like
I was merely just to demonstrate their number, rather than because my concern is we go back, we say we found some dwarves. Well, not dwarves, sorry, we found some orcs. They were up here. We felt you should know this information. And then they go, yes, great. What of them? And we killed them. And then they go, great, never mind. And then get back on with what they're doing.
Well,
it's not a threat. They're not really a threat, are they? Now look at them.
You make a good point, Sirk, and you reinforce it convincingly. Loftar, I am surprised by your generosity and how you choose to take tokens from these orcs. I thought you may have taken a head, but let us take a small dagger.
Bring their left hand or something.
Maybe just a finger.
A bag of hands.
Bag of hands. You've been reading Basket Full of Heads, Ben. Let us take some small item of theirs that denotes their militaristic bent.
If they've all got one of these insignia, then maybe we take all of them.
Sirk, you're a genius among dwarves. That is a inspired idea.
Well, if we're not going to take a hand, then we'll at least take their badge of office.
The badge of office. Let us take these trinkets from their filthy bodies and gird your stomachs as you do so, boys.
Oh, I wasn't touching them. I've come up with the idea. I'm the generator of the plan. I don't do much of the enacting.
Oh, you're delegating. You're delegating to Loftar. Okay, well that's fair. Upwards management is an important skill, sir.
So I'll take a dagger to take with me.
No, the insignias. We said get the insignias.
He wants to
have the dagger for your own purpose, but get their insignias.
Bear in mind, it has it has an encumbrance of 0, so that's fine.
Yeah. Collect all the daggers. We'll sell them and we'll be rich.
The insignias also have a very low encumbrance, so let us fetch them up.
I feel a bit tired. I feel like it would be really good to have a good night's sleep. I'm weary and I'd like to shake that off because I won't be able to without a good night's sleep. So we can perhaps discuss it in the morning.
No, we've collected the insignia.
Okay, yeah.
Let's go find somewhere to. Can we search for somewhere fairly close, but not too far, to kind of camp down for the night?
I'm assuming that we can. Let us just fill the airtime.
Yeah. Should we make a roll for that to see if what we search for?
No. You kind of go. The difficulty you have is that you're in the middle of marshland. So really, the most comfortable location is going to be the kind of rocky outcropping that you're on. So that
sounds good.
The most obvious place to kind of get to is perhaps the other side.
We want to be the leeward side, please.
The flies starting to gather around the bodies of the orcs. They're really starting to rot quite extensively.
Oh, it's marshy, isn't it?
So you kind of you make camp fairly easily. The other side. Are you going to set watch?
I think that's probably advisable.
We must take turns keeping watch.
Loftar, you're tired, aren't you? Why don't you have last watch? And
that would be.
I don't mind
really
taking
useful.
the first one.
Are you sure, Sirk?
Yeah.
In that case, I will rest.
Everyone knows the most dangerous one's the one in the middle.
I'll take that one. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so you set up kind of like watch. Through the night, some of the thickness of the fog drifts away. And at moments you catch a glimpse of the stars above, and then the kind of like clouds roll through again. It's a reasonably, so kind of almost unseasonably warm evening, and everybody does get a deep, hearty rest, as if the manor has reached its protective arms around you. The spirits, the dwarven craftsmen that formed this homestead designed to protect the people, kind of able to kind of refresh you more than you would have expected. So they'll allow everybody to recover as if you'd had a day of prolonged rest. So you gain 2 endurance points plus your heart rating.
Back up to 32 then.
28 for me.
Well, and Loftar, you lose the weary condition as well, so you're kind of no longer weary. A new day dawns. Kind of thinking through the events of the previous day, you think you've established that Longo may well be the halfling Clovis that encouraged you on this endeavour. That there are Orcs of Dol Guldur, a militia, or a military, rather than kind of like just general savages agitating, and perhaps they're linked. And certainly, in fact, you know that they're linked, for the lead orc did refer back to that, which may mean that they're a threat internal to Dale as well. You think of King Dane, who none of you have personally met. You've not met any of his council. You've not met any, of influential individuals, kind of like within there, and the task feels perhaps a little bit harder than it did in the moment after the battle last. But perhaps you'll have to meet that challenge as and when you kind of get to it. It took you a few days to get out here. It may take you a kind of few days to get back. And as you kind of like started to kind of gather your stuff, it does occur to you that the old embroideress Kelda was a target of these bandits. And maybe she remains a target of the bandits. Whatever they sought, they didn't get, so perhaps they would be going back again. You can try to force march your way back to Dale, or you can kind of take the less risky but longer pace that you established before.
I feel we might have been duped. Slightly.
I think you may be right, Sirk. We should return. We should return to Paul. Do you want to take break now, so you can enjoy your food?
What was that?
He's enjoying his food.
Yeah. Let's. So I suspect we might need to take the swifter route back home, back to things.
I agree.
Because I think we've missed something in our desire to come out here and solve the problem. We might have been pointed in the wrong direction.
I think someone.
Go on, Loftar.
No, I just wanted to add that I agree. I think someone wanted us out of the city for a reason.
Well, if that duplicitous hobbit Clovis is indeed the bandit Longo, then why has he sent us here on this fool's quest?
Or
to what end?
Do you not suspect that he might have not be expecting us back? He sent us into what was potentially a trap.
Then let us hurry. Let us hurry back to Dale.
Post haste.
Let's make haste
and find this so-called Clovis.
Are you adding hobbits to your naughty list now?
As this is the first hobbit I've met so far, Sirk, and I'm
100% of them have been distrustful.
I haven't taken an immediate liking to them. I'm disappointed more than anything. He seemed
in yourself. Do you feel like bad that you were duped?
I shared my pipeweed with him. that's no mean undertaking. A dwarf sharing pipeweed
No.
is no light matter.
Let's go back. Come on then. Chop chop.
So we're going to forced march the hell out
Yeah.
of this journey. I'm starting to think having no skill in lore at all is going to be a bit of a hindrance.
It's all right. I'm lured up to the eyeballs.
Yeah, but journeys, you know.
Well, no, but again, we can divvy them out when I get
Okay,
these
so-
successes.
It's true.
So let's have a preparatory roll then. Let's get those lore rolls made.
So that's the roll before the proper travel roll, right? Or travel rolls.
Yeah, preliminary roll with lore to see kind of if we know enough about the lay of the land to have any kind of advantage. And the feat die says no. Torg does not have any.
20, great success.
Sorry, Loftar, what was yours?
13.
Okay. So Sirk, now
I
that
did
you
study
kind of,
those maps before I came out.
yeah, you studied the maps, but also you've got the hardy feat, I think, trait. Sorry, that would probably apply to this forced march. So you kind of give the guys a few tips, make sure they've got a good slow burning breakfast in them.
Yeah. Packs high on your backs, weight on the waist, not on the shoulders.
That kind of stuff. So off you guys go. So a little bit strange. We'll have a travel test to expedite your journey back there. We don't have any travel checks on the way out, but we have travel to kind of get back because you're trying to expedite that. So if everybody can make me a travel roll, please.
Yep. That's a bit better for me. Got 3 dice and the feat die.
And whatever preparatory dice you want to share out, there's only got to be 1 travel roll, so you might as well use it now.
Okay.
So how many did I get? 2. One
Yes.
for passing and one for great.
Yeah.
Who's got the lowest roll?
I've got 3 dice, so
How many have you got, Loftar?
I rolled 2 for travel, but I
Roll
have
another one as a bonus then,
Yes.
and I'll take mine as well.
So, okay.
So I got
21.
24, great success.
Cool. I'm leaving you guys to do advancement points as well, by the way. Remember that.
I've got 27
1 point.
great
Oh,
success.
no.
You guys get there the day before
just-
you leave.
It's just because before I was able to finish, I wanted to add that apart. Although I do have 2 in travel, before you kindly offered me a die, Sirk, I also carried this massive thing called Ironfoot Hauberk, which, funny enough, helps me travel. So that's how I get some bonus.
Your massive weapon shield. No, it's a halberd. It's armor, isn't it?
Yeah.
Helps you with travel.
Yeah.
So,
It's true story. True story.
So anyway,
okay. I'm going to try my hand at invoking a trait to get a cheeky second point.
Go for
So on the journey, I rolled 20, which is good.
Yeah.
But Torg is single-minded now in his quest to kind of regain some lost respect, I guess, but by being duped by this Longo Clovis character. So he's feeling willful, and he's kind of head down. And even though his feet won't move as fast as he wants, and he slips sometimes in the mud and in the marshes, he just pulls himself up and
There's a dry route here. Come take the dry route. No, I'm walking through the mud.
yeah, he just stomps on. He's got a bit of a kind of sore tendon, from all of the forced marching, but his willful.
Do you want us to
approach
take a
is
break?
good. So that's essentially, I'm chancing it and saying willful.
go
To
on.
get a second point.
Anybody disagree? Go for it.
Nice. Thank you.
Feels thematic. I like the description.
Cool.
good. All good. You managed to get back to Dale in about half the time that it took you to get out. You spend no time kind of looking at the crags. Meals are taken on the hoof. You go as far and as long as light will allow you. And you start to re-enter through the trader's gates once more. As you're going through the gate, the guards detain you for a little longer than usual, asking your purpose, checking you a little more thoroughly, you imagine, than they had before. As you enter, one of the guards goes off into the gatekeeper's office, looking purposeful. And you head out into...
Sir, watch these men. Watch this. I'm just eyeballing these men of Dale.
They
You know that has no benefit.
eyeball you back.
But why would they, Sirk? Why would they be searching us so carefully? They may be in line with these bandits, is what I'm saying to you. We must be careful here.
Dwarf,
Don't get paranoid now. You've been smoking too much of that special pipe weed.
let's
Listen to me, Sir. If men are not selfish, lazy, and greedy, then they are corrupt.
That's an interesting observation, Torg.
It is, but probably not one to say when they're stood here.
No, probably not.
I'm speaking Dwarvish.
Come on, move along,
No,
you
you
lot.
weren't.
And you enter into the citadel through the stony, steadfast walls, out into the commons. There's like that kind of grassy area that has not yet been rebuilt, and you see a community of Easterlings, the same community that perhaps you came through in the traders' gate with before. And then a small distance from them, there's a small dwarven camp. There's banners fluttering in the gentle breeze, and there's a small rope fence kind of gathered around, marking off. Loftar and Torg, you recognise this as a kind of miniaturized dwarven war encampment, as if it was a small army on the march. And by small army, we're talking 10 to 15. But it's got the same kind of like structure, same big tent, and then at the centre and smaller tents around. And Loftar, you recognise the colours of the banners as being belonging to the Brothers Couldrim, which is a kind of like a war band, an adventuring company, a mercenary company, very small, formerly led by two brothers, Couldri and Skludri, sorry. And you know, Skludri died, and a lot of the band died trying to fight a cold drake of the name Raynar. And you were approached actually to join the band, but you wanted to lead your own. You didn't want to be kind of like a servant, and you know, they aren't all about slaying orcs. The fact that they were after a cold drake rather than trying to get orcs turned you off, and kind of gave you a bit of impetus to try to form your own band more than anything else.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
And then, you know, tell us a little bit more about your relationship with the Couldri, the surviving brother. You know, was it a cordial relationship, or was there a little bit of animosity there? How did it end when you chose not to join them?
I think there was a bit of obviously egos were flying about, where there was disagreements to start off with, but I think in the end we settled it. I want to say manly, but that's probably not an appropriate word.
Dwarvenly.
Dwarvenly. And we just decided to go our separate ways. We did left the door open, if you like, that if ever such thing would occur. Obviously, we're both seasoned warriors. We knew that didn't want to close the doors or build that bridge, if you like. Burn
Agreed to see
the
different
bridge.
people, but kept each other's mobiles.
Maybe when the better opportunity arises, perhaps we will join forces. But I was too much into let's hunt orc, and he was I'm just going to kill that bloody drake.
Yeah. Okay.
And we went our separate ways.
I can imagine that's the way the conversations went. Like they were trying to make a business agreement, and but while drinking, and he's the one's going, "Fucking drakes," and you're going, "Bloody orcs."
Yeah.
That was pretty much so. Loftar, you didn't join the band by mutual consent. Is I think what we took from that, but good. I like that. Good. Okay, and you kind of you move on through the commons into the city of Dale. What do you want to do with yourselves as you kind of get into there?
Do we need to find that old woman?
Yeah, that would be very good. I think.
Old Kelmer.
Yeah. I could, in the meantime, if you guys want to do that, I could go and say hello to these old mates. Have a chat while they're here.
See if they've heard about see if they recognise that symbol of all those things we gathered.
Okay, let me just take a quick snap of that and see.
I will accompany you, Loftar. I wish greatly to meet these dwarven warrior friends of yours.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes.
Would I have any clue where to go find this old woman? Because I'm really not bothered about meeting that lot of bros.
Not really. Maybe the market square if she's a trader.
I'll try the market square.
Who she was with? Do you guys remember when she was
on her own, wasn't she? And then joined.
No, she was entertaining a kid of another group. So at least for a brief moment, she was with a group of.
She was.
I'll ask around and see if she's known.
Yeah, okay.
And see if I can get directions to find her. Because that group of brosifs is a bit too much for me.
Yeah. Okay, that's.
It's like, dude, do you even hold up?
Okay, so you head across. So you split the company. Sirk heads off into town. It's a lovely late summer day. As you kind of head off into the market day, beautiful azure skies, the sun kind of like streaming down. Not the intensity that you get in midsummer. So a pleasant warming kind of like sensation. You feel safe back in the walls. They're less safe perhaps than you imagined you would feel. And you walk across the commons.
I'm wary of any hobbits and small children that could be hobbits.
That's basically all small children. Any barefoot small children.
Yeah,
smoking barefoot small children
with big barefoot hairy feet.
Yeah.
We've found Sirk's secret hatred.
That's it. Yeah.
Children.
His shadow weakness. And you walk across to the commons, across that kind of open greenery, towards the encampment. Loftar striding purposefully, Torg striding purposefully, but with a slight limp, actually, from his exertions on the road. You know when you kind of got a blister, but you don't want anybody to know that you're kind of like struggling a little bit.
Start out, make it look like gangster, like it's your pimp walk.
There's a couple of not all seasoned adventurers kind of standing guard by the entrance. They look at you. Oh, there. Are these
dwarves?
Dwarves. Yep, dwarves. Oh, there. What's your business here with Coldrim's brothers Coldrim?
Oh, we go way back. We have a chance. We have a meeting. I'll just You must let us speak to them. It's an important matter. I know them personally.
Loftar, if I may suggest, we have news from the marshland surrounding Dale that will greatly interest. Is it Coldry?
Coldrim.
The name of
Coldrim.
Coldrim. Your noble chieftain Coldrim.
That's what I wanted to say. Exactly. Yes.
What he said.
We have important information, and if I may speak frankly, we cannot trust these longshanks with this important news. And perhaps dwarves will make better work of it.
They kind of like eye you. You've clearly been out in the marshes. You kind of like feel through. You can see that the weapons by your side and kind of take your lordly stance in your adventuring stance. Aye, okay. Come, refreshments from the road, and they take you to a small kind of like communal mess tent essentially, and one of them heads off. A short while later, the brother Couldry comes. Definitely a seasoned adventurer, squat and shoulder. He wears not armor, but kind of the undercoat upon which you would put mail. Short sword by his side, big axe over his shoulder, many notches of dead foes kind of on it. This is an axe that has passed through the generations. Let's have some insight rolls to establish what you can learn and what you already know.
Okay, I have 3 in insight, and it is a favored skill. I don't want to use any traits. I feel like lordly may apply to. In fact, leadership could possibly, you could apply it, but I don't want to.
Yep. Okay.
I don't want to use it. Also, I've already got 2 dots in perception, so who knows? Okay, so I do have a Tengwa. I have a 6 on the feat die, a 5 and a 4, so I've got 15. I've got 21 great success. And can I invoke lordly to greet Couldry in an appropriate manner?
You may indeed.
So
great. So you get 2 bonus dice and your 3rd advancement point.
Cool.
What did you get, Loftar?
So I want to use my trait, hardened. It's not the first encounter. I've done this before, so all I'm going to do is use that trait to get an automatic success for the insight.
I don't think that's what I would. Oh, so hardy.
No, I'm sorry, hardened. So that I know the person. We've met before.
Yeah.
We have
you're like a vet. You've probably dealt with.
So he's not as intimidating to me as perhaps someone else of his position would be. We're more like peers rather than he's a.
Sorry, is that hardy?
No, hardened.
No, hardened.
Oh, hardened. Mm.
Yeah,
that's a special.
It's basically it makes him. It is like he's
seasoned.
He's a vet, isn't he? He's a veteran. It's his veteran trait.
Yeah, so it's basically like 2 regimental sergeant majors meeting up at the mess, kind of like eyeing each other up and understanding. Yeah, so that's fine.
One going
cool.
Orc, the other one going Drake, the other one going Orc, then Drake.
It's pretty much more of a Coldrim, you old fool. Are you still chasing that Drake? Are you?
That's cool. Good. Okay, so you get a bonus dice. So so from your insight roll, Torg, you can see Couldrim is a man of practical means, a man of action, whose only real loyalty is to himself, probably to his brother, and to his group. So he doesn't strike you as a man who is like a king's man, and is the person who is practical and pragmatic before ideals. You know, he's definitely got that kind of feel to him. So let's just talk a little around the encounter before we kind of get into it then. So that's how you're going to start off then, Loftar. And what is it that you're wanting to kind of get from the encounter, and how do you intend to approach it?
So I don't want to talk too much to him, but I want to start off with that sort of cheeky comment. But obviously we go way back, so I want to pay my respects, check on his welfare if he's still doing okay. Perhaps compliment if he has any interesting recent adventures that he's gone through. Then give him a bit of positive feedback, and obviously have a bit of a banter. We do want to mention. I don't want to mention at some point the situation with Orcs of Dol Guldur, and perhaps my main reason to talk to him is perhaps he knows a little bit more about this.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd agree. I think that's the objective for this encounter is to inform in order to hopefully establish a bit of a friendly allyship there with him and his dwarven band, in order to hopefully, spring into action. He's a dwarf of action. We need to eradicate this threat.
Okay, so I think then more awe and inspire would be the kind of appropriate skills to be kind of like using there in terms of if any skill checks are required. So you say you have your cheeky kind of entendre. He kind of stops in front of you and praises you, and he looks across at Torg. Aye, we are that, Loftar. Still out after orcs.
What else could I do? I'm a very simple dwarf. And just to break the ice, may I introduce my companion Torg? He goes from Misty Mountains, a very well-respected dwarf.
Aye,
in his own.
I know his father, Tordek.
Indeed, Kuldrim. I believe I've heard my father speak your name once or twice when he would tell me his stories of his battles, and I'm sort of signing the sign for greetings and respectful signs in English mech as well, as I kind of bow quite deeply, as deeply as I can in my current predicament.
He signs back the traditional kind of like response, commendations to your line, back to the Longbeards. Ale for our esteemed guests.
Ale would be most welcome. I'm deeply impressed by your incredible marquee here, Kuldrim, and the presence of your dwarves inspires me to feel more safe in these dangerous times, and far as I am from my true home, which is the Grey Mountains, though I returned here to once again reunite with Erebor, which is where my father, as you know, originated from.
Aye, I know. Go on, let's stay seated. Out on hunting orcs. Do you catch anything?
Only yesterday.
Well, Kuldrim. In fact, we now that you mention it, we did find Orc Sign in the Marshes yesterday. We returned there from camping just this morning.
Really?
I'm kind of Torg's kind of looking over sideways at Loftar, like just to sense the levels of trust in the room here.
Loftar is really kind of like easy, and Kuldrim is pretty easy with Loftar as well.
Okay.
I think we can speak frankly here about the problems. I think we can all benefit from an open discussion about the issues.
And you're kind of like off to one side. The others that were around are further along. So you've been given respectful space for your elders.
So we're out of earshot of any others. Okay, as far as I can tell.
Yeah. And nobody's really listening in. People know better than to try to overhear the master's conversations.
Nice. Okay, so what would you say, Kuldrim, if I were to tell you that we encountered orcs yesterday, and more than that we slew them and left them dead in the mud? and yet more than that they were from this Dol Guldur, place of legend and lore.
I would say that I am not surprised to the first 2 points, knowing that you were with Loftar, Orc Slayer that he is. And I would shake you by the arms, and he grabs you. Well done. Well done. As to the last point, I would say 'tis a surprise. How do you know that they are Orcs of Dol Guldur? Do you have proof?
Well, I checked. We do have proof, but you know me. We go way back. We've seen all different kinds of orc, and I'm confident that these are orcs from Dol Guldur. But Torg, we do have, right? We have a necklace or an insignia type of thing with us.
No, you can get it out. You can put it on the table.
Well, let us show Cauldron.
Okay, so through showing the insignia, you don't need to make a persuade roll or anything like that. No, it's fairly self-evident. Aye, the insignia.
Have you seen this sign before, Cauldron?
Aye.
Do you recognise it as this Dol Guldur orc band?
It seems that my hobbit companions may be interrupting us.
You have
something
a
stirring.
I can hear them in the background.
Something stirring in the Shire.
Aye, yes, they are. In fact, let us take a swift break there, for I feel this hobbit interruption may last a while.